This conference will now be recorded.
Welcome everyone at Busboys and Poets and online. This is the October 2023 meeting of the Arlington Senior Lunch Group. Our guest of honor is Charles Meng, who is Chief Executive Officer of the Arlington Food Assistance Center. Mr. Meng joined the staff in August 2008 as Director of Operations. He's had a long career in nonprofit administration, serving as Vice President for Administration at Georgetown University, as Associate Managing Director of the John F. Kennedy Center for the Performing Arts. Mr. Meng has also served as Executive Director of Human Resources at American University and as Associate Director of Personnel Operations during the Williams administration for the District of Columbia government. He holds a law degree from Georgetown University. It's always good to see a reformed lawyer, and has a certificate of educational management from Harvard University. And I will turn it over to him if I can do this well. There we go. And you can adjust the camera and everything else. Okay.
There we are. Good afternoon. Can everybody hear me? I think my internet is a little slow here.
We can hear you. Can't see you.
Oh, okay. Can't see me.
I can hear and see.
The camera's on. This is you.
Right.
That's what you're.
And I can see Rebecca Dick. I can see you.
Okay.
But I'll get your window back here. Just a second. I'm sorry. I don't mean to crowd you. But it's the last thing there. It was there. There you go. Thank you. I'm sorry. Sure. Okay.
No problem. Sure. No.
Well, I'm just going to speak if that's okay with y'all. I'm Charlie Meng, the CEO of AFAC, and I'm here to talk a little bit about what we have experienced over the last year at AFAC and what we're looking at for the coming year. Last year, AFAC served 140,622 visits for food. That's a 29.4% increase over last year. Essentially, that comes out to a little over 2,700 families every week. Next year, we're looking at a continuance of very high numbers. Right now, for the last 3 months of this fiscal year, last quarter, we have already served over 45,000 visits for food. If this continues, we're looking at a total of 166,000 people, families coming to us in fiscal year 24. Last year, we had a $1.3 million food purchase budget. We exceeded that budget by $599,000. Thankfully, we were able to cover that out of reserves that we have collected over the last few years. However, if we get anywhere near close to that expectation of 166,000 families, we're facing a food purchase deficit of close to $1.2 million. Very simply, last year, that 144,000 visits included, well, those are family visits. So we touched 16,000 families last year. Excuse me, 16,000 individuals in 6,885 families. I know I'm getting you guys confused on it. All adds up sooner or later. Essentially, what we're facing is two things that has happened since COVID left us in 22. In February 22, we saw the lowest number of families coming to us after COVID. But since then, the number of families coming to us has increased by about 100 a month for the last year and a half. So last week we served 3,443 families in need. Why are they coming to us? It's very simple. Since COVID, we've seen a 14% increase in the cost of food in 1 year. Since then, we've seen another 5% increase in the cost of food. At the same time, our families have received reductions in the SNAP program, WIC program, TANF program, all supports for low-income families. Those supports are no longer there. So essentially, our families have received something on the order of a 20% reduction in the buying power of whatever funds they have to themselves. And again, they have lost in terms of those benefits, the SNAP program benefits and others. The result is we have an awful lot of families here in Arlington County who are hurting, seriously hurting. I look at it as, under normal circumstances, our families are just keeping their head above water or keeping their head, out of the quicksand. But a 20% reduction in their buying power, which you and I can, grudgingly accept, means that they've been pushed down, and now they have to dig themselves out. And when people have to dig themselves out of those kinds of holes, we see them coming to AFAC. These are individuals who are at the very bottom of the economic pyramid here in Arlington, and they're hurting. And it's going to take them, our families, a good long time to get back to where they were before the pandemic. We see this in a number of different ways. We normally have about 6,000 families who are referred to us, but right now only that 3,500 are coming. That's a sort of self-selection. Nobody really wants to come to AFAC for food. We do the best we can in terms of providing good, healthy, nutritious food. It is all grocery store quality food, but it's not everything that they need. But when they do have a little bit of money in their pocket, they will go to their own grocery stores to get the food that they and their families like and will enjoy. So, when they have money in their pocket, maybe when SNAP benefits are coming in at the beginning of the month, they don't come to us. But often by the end of the month, we'll see folks. And that's when we reach our peaks. In terms of facing a possible $1.2 million deficit in our food purchase budget, we've had to make a decision. Do we buy turkeys for Thanksgiving this year? 3,700 turkeys will be needed. They average 14 pounds apiece. You just can do the math at $2.65 a pound. That comes out to something on the order of $125,000. I cannot see spending $125,000 for a single meal at Thanksgiving. So we're going to be providing our families with very large chickens at a lower price and obviously at a lower size. So we hope to save about $100,000 in doing that.
It's expensive per pound for
So
turkey.
we're doing all we can to limit the cost, but we're committed to serving everybody in need in Arlington County. And we do that by serving about half of our families at Nelson Street and the other half at 18 distribution sites around the county and through a home delivery program that provides, that will deliver a family's food to them at their house if they cannot leave their premises.
Excuse me. You said
Yeah.
that you had about $1 million shortfall. You probably gave the overall budget at the beginning. Could you repeat that?
Yeah. Well, I didn't really talk about the overall budget. It takes essentially $9 million to run AFAC.
Okay.
We will receive this year $606,000 from Arlington County. We get no federal funds, no state funds. So that money from the county is the only government money we get. So we have to raise the remaining amount. And by the way, the county provides a rip-roaring 7% of what it costs to run AFAC. And all of the county's money goes to purchasing food. The county does not pay for my salary, our buildings, my trucks, or whatever. They simply pay for the food, some of the food that we distribute.
Okay.
So yeah, we have also a very fundraising office and a very strong fundraising office that has been successful in meeting our needs. But $1.2 million is far in excess of what I can address in one single year. So this is the problem that I'm facing, is how do we continue to run AFAC when we have to face this kind of a deficit. I've asked the county. That 606,000 is about 11% less than we received last year, and yet we're serving 29%. We will be serving about 30% more families next year. So that's the situation we find ourselves in. And one that we're going to need some tremendous help in achieving. You know, well, the same situation is happening all over the country. This is not something that Arlington County is facing all by itself. I think, though, that Arlington County is in a much better position to address what is really long-term food insecurity. The way most food pantries operate in the United States is, they're in little church basements or community centers serving 25, maybe 50, maybe 75 families. And that was essentially where AFAC was when we started. But
Rescheduling.
some of the folks who founded AFAC would probably be surprised that we're up at the numbers we are, and surprised at what the consolidation that took place 35 years ago has grown into. 35 years ago, we started by a bunch of volunteers who thought that they could address food insecurity. We were then joined by 6 congregations, all of whom had little food pantries themselves. They came to us and said, "Can we join you? We'll send you our families, our food, and we'll volunteer with us." Those 6 congregations to this day are still serving our families and volunteering with us. One of the things that's very unusual about Arlington County is wealth and its generosity. Yes, I can make this happen in Arlington County, but I doubt whether there are other counties around this country, or many of them, that could actually um, support an operation like AFAC. But essentially, the difference is what happens in most of the United States is emergency food service. They provide maybe a bag or a box once a month. This is what we've got, so you're going to get it. There's a lot of waste in that process. That's one of the reasons why we do choice model. We will let our families choose what they want. There's a lot less waste that way. Um, so essentially, what everybody else is doing is emergency food service, uh, addressing emergency food insecurity. What we're doing is long-time food insecurity. So we have families that have been with us almost since the founding of AFAC, that are still with us. And essentially, I think even across the country, most people will say, who comes to a food pantry? Obviously, low-income families, but that is made up of Hispanics. In terms of Arlington County, 55% of our families are Hispanic, whereas the population of Hispanics in the county generally is 9%. The number of Caucasian families that come to us is down at 10%. However, they represent 67% of the population in Arlington County. 25% of our families are African American, whereas 9% of the county is African American. So you can see already the kind of disparities that exist within the county. And I think that these same kinds of disparities exist, across the country. That's one set, the families that come to us, their racial makeup, but also, AFAC is dealing with essentially 3 sets of clients. The first are elderly individuals who are on fixed incomes, individuals who've raised their families here in Arlington County, sent their kids to our schools, and are now retiring in place. But numbers aren't adding up any longer. Expenses are growing constantly. Food costs are growing, and nothing adds up. So they come to AFAC. The second group are the individuals on Social Security disability. These are not physically disabled. There are a few physically disabled, but most of them are the mentally disabled in our community, people who just cannot hold jobs, and again, live on a fixed income. The vast majority, however, of our families, almost 60%, are essentially the working poor, individuals who are making money, but again, it's not adding up. There are still expenses that they must address. How much does a average apartment in Arlington County now go for? $2,000. Well, the minimum wage, it's about $11 an hour right now. That's still going to mean the vast bulk of your funds are going to go to rent, if you can even make that much money. The result is also that many of our families have 2 wage earners in the family, sometimes even 3. Some of them are also doubled up in apartments meant for a single family. they've got a side agreement to rent the living room. So we have families in that sort of situation. Um, you know, where do we go from here? Before the pandemic, I was looking at a company like Amazon coming into town, paying an average of $150,000 for about 15,000 employees who are going to want to live someplace here in Arlington County or close by. That's just going to raise the price of housing and slowly force our families out of this county. Unfortunately, Arlington can actually be pretty much gentrified even further. So we have started a slow advance outside of Arlington County. We've opened up a distribution site in West End, Alexandria, and another in Falls Church. While I've stopped that expansion because the numbers here in Arlington are so high, at some point in the future, we will continue that expansion. Yet we will always serve whoever is in need in Arlington County. So I'm happy to take questions if you have any. Or
I have a quick one. I'm not
yeah,
even sure if it's relevant quite to your organization, but I noticed there was a um, little box of food that used to be out the outside of the central library, and they just shut it down. Did you
yes,
all run that, or was that something else? And
we
what?
did
Why did?
not run.
Yeah.
We did not run that. Initially, a Boy Scout Eagle Scout
Oh yeah, I heard that.
built
Yeah.
that as his
Yeah.
the
His
Eagle Scout project.
right.
About 5 years ago. So we do not serve that food pantry, and that is under the direction of Diane Kresh over at the library.
Did they just run out of funding, or do you know why that it was ended? I just seemed to be seemed to be an active, you know, program. A lot of people seem to use it, but
Yes, exactly. Diane, the head of the library system, felt that the little food pantry needed repair work, that it was attracting rodents,
oh,
um, and other things like that. They didn't have a budget to support it.
right.
Although there is a very active number of individuals who in the community who
Yeah.
do support that. And that's really a decision of Diane Kresh at the library and that group. I think she has decided to hold off about 30 days on that, but we'll be moving ahead.
Oh, so we might see it return. Okay, that'd be nice. I
Yes,
think
yeah, it might be.
because, like I
And
say, it seems like yeah, a lot of
does serve
people.
a, yeah, it does serve a very large population of homeless individuals in the area. So actually, it should really be the responsibility of what is it now, Path Forward, the old Arlington Street People's Assistance Network, APA, ASPAN.
Uh-huh. Okay, thank you. Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Any other questions online?
Any other questions?
One question I have is, please state clearly how people can donate to APAC.
Oh, very simply. You can go online. Um, yeah, the question was, how can y'all donate to AFAC? And it's very simple. Just go on our website, afac.org, and there are three buttons up on the corner: get food, donate, and volunteer. And the donate will take you to a website where you can make a donation. And as I said, we're going to need it this year. AFAC is really facing a significant, probably one of our largest deficits ever. And in order to continue, we are really relying on the local community and your support. So
You talked about adjacent communities, church, Alexandria. What is the situation between those?
yeah, the question is what's happening in Fairfax and other locales nearby. Um, they are the typical. There's a group over in Fairfax called Food for Others, about the same size, but their approach is they basically take a truck full of food someplace, open it up, and say anybody wants food can come and get that food. That's sort of a very wasteful situation. But it is typical in the United States. So that's what's happening in Fairfax, and in Alexandria, they're very much the same situation. They've got another organization called Alive that provides food to a number of food pantries, smaller food pantries in Alexandria. But again, that's all of that is once a month service. At Food for Others, you can only come there for 6 times a year, and that's the maximum number of times you can come. At AFAC, you can come once a week for 52 weeks a year. Because food insecurity isn't just something that happens today. It is something that happens tomorrow, the next week, the next month, whatever. And people need consistent access to that food.
AFAC was renting some of its space to A-SPAN, Path Forward for some of their training activities.
Yes.
Does that still occur?
No, it doesn't. ACE-BEN used to be on the second floor of our building at 2708. But when the county built the Homeless Services Center, they moved up there, and that gave us the opportunity to renovate the second floor of our building, followed by the renovation of the first floor. During COVID, we bought the building next to us and fully renovated that building. And as a matter of fact, we just got a very large gift, and we'll be air conditioning the warehouse next door so that we could have more volunteer activities in that building throughout the summertime. So, in that sort of sense, we're in a very good position. We own both of the buildings, and they're brand new buildings. So in that sense, we're a permanent fixture now in Arlington County.
What's your reaction with the
I just sent them a nasty this morning. No, I sent them a letter this morning. We have very good relations with the county board. I have to say that our relations with all of the departments of Arlington County has been extremely positive. Many of them support us. Many of them run food drives for us. The Department of Human Services, we interact with them on a daily basis, almost every department's there. And then the county board has been supportive. The problem I have with the county board, frankly, is the consistency of their support. It has gone up and down every single year. I can't rely on a defined amount of funding. And as I said earlier, $606,000 was a $28,000 increase from the prior year. $28,000 will last me maybe a week. Okay. So if anything about the county board, if I say anything about the county board, it's that they're very supportive and have been. But it's a constant fight to get what we need. And as I said, their funds pay for 7% of what it costs to run AFAC. 7, okay? So I'd certainly love them to up that percentage a little bit.
You could just send it steps that it takes to make sure that it's eligible and you know, with the assistance. I know that everybody feels great passion, but some people are wanting to do it the fine print.
Yeah. So the process is very simple. If you come to our doors, we will feed you if you're an Arlington County resident. If not, we'll give you a package, an emergency food kit, and tell you where your local food pantries are. But then we start a file in our software. We developed a number of years ago proprietary software. So we start a file in that software system. It's a cloud-based, password-protected software, and we ask the family to go up to the Department of Human Services, because if you don't have food, you've got other problems too. And up at DHS, all of those issues can be looked at, and you can be, signed up for whatever you may be eligible for. If the social worker up at DHS feels that the family will benefit from our services, they can enter that software, fill out the form about, all of the family's demographics, and refer that family to us. When they come back down to us, the next time we'll issue them a barcoded card, like a grocery store card, that they only have to swipe at each time they come. So they can come once a week for 6 months. Then they need to get a renewal of their referral. And again, the standard is if a social worker believes the family will benefit, they can be referred. Now, after that, then people start self-selecting. So as I said earlier, we have about 6,000 families referred to us, but only about, on an unduplicated basis, only about 5,500 are coming to us. So there's another, what is that, 15 or something like that, who are not coming. And, that could be for a whole bunch of reasons. Yeah, they're just making it so they don't need us. Or they have money in their pocket today. They've got a day laborer's job, and so they're going to go to their own grocery store and get food. So the bottom line is all of our families are seen by a social worker prior to being referred to us. That social worker is either at the Department of Human Services. All of the social workers in the Arlington County Public School System have referral rights to us. And we have 20 other partner nonprofit agencies here in the county who also have the right to refer families to us. So I think we have a pretty good system of making sure that the families who are coming to us are indeed in need of food.
That they get referred to places where their other issues can be dealt with.
Absolutely. And that's the whole thing. We want these families taken care of. So we've in a sense set that system up to achieve getting them into the system, getting them the services that they are eligible for. And address it. Now, we also serve the undocumented in the county. We make absolutely no distinction. If you live in Arlington County and are in need of food, we will serve you. We do not keep two fields in our software. The first one is the Social Security number. I don't want to have to deal with that risk. And the second one is immigrant status. It doesn't matter if you're hungry, we're here to feed you. and that's a very different situation with the county. Oftentimes, they cannot refer undocumented individuals to us, though they can refer the children born in the United States to those undocumented people, individuals, and they can be served. However, we do have other agencies that specifically handle Hispanic families in our community. One of the other agencies, yes. Because we ask them to show us some identification for residency purposes. Okay. And by the way, uh, we accept all sorts of documents to prove residency, any kind of invoice, bank statement, bill. We're pretty lenient on that in that regard. Yes. They don't interact with us, but it's one of the reasons why people come to us, obviously. During the pandemic, there were all sorts of rental assistance programs. Now those are ending or have ended. So that puts another burden on our families who are having that support, and it's no longer there. So yes, we are in effect getting the result of those programs ending, because that's just pushing our families farther down.
Well, if there's nothing else, I want to thank Charlie for a very eloquent presentation of his challenges, and we want to thank him for having come to visit us. And I want to remind everybody we're going to get together the second Tuesday of November, which is what, the week after Election Day? Or is it election? Yeah, the week after Election Day. And so by then we'll have a lot of good news I hope we can share with you. Once again, thank you so much, Charlie, for coming. And thank you all for tuning in.